Guess I can cancel my Max subscription. All the content's coming to Tubi. Now available in paperback and e-readers. E-Steam Cancel Vacation. Hell's aspiring angel takes on a social justice, social media mob looking to cancel her in this all-new E-Steam series adventure. Get E-Steam Cancel Vacation in paperback and e-readers today. Warner Brothers Discovery has made a deal with Fox's Tubi streaming service to feature DC Universe movies and TV shows on the Tubi streaming service. Now, Warner Brothers Discovery will be featuring DC Universe movies such as Batman 1989, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, and the 4 Superman movies, Superman the movie, Superman 2, Superman 3, and Superman 4, along with other superhero movies such as The Batman and Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey on the Tubi streaming service, where people can watch all of this content in addition to other content from the Warner Brothers catalog, all for free. Now, this is a major about face for Warner Brothers Discovery, which for the past 3 years has been trying to get subscribers to pay for a lot of this content on its then called HBO Max streaming service, and is now called Max streaming service. And with Warner Brothers Discovery allowing this content on Tubi, this basically shows me how the whole streaming platform as a business is going into a major state of decline, because with Warner Brothers Discovery now licensing content to the Tubi streaming service, it shows me that the paid business model for streaming is not one that may be around much longer. Now, back in the 2010s, a lot of Hollywood studios became extremely envious of Netflix, which was going out and buying a lot of content from many of these movie studios. And as Netflix was paying many of these studios like Disney, Warner Brothers at the time, and other studios like Viacom to put content on its streaming service, many of the CEOs of those studios started to become envious of all of the profits that Netflix was making on its content that was featured on its streaming service. And as we got into the 2020s, what happened was many of these conglomerated movie studios, as part of the Big Six oligarchy, started to launch their own streaming services such as HBO Max and Disney Plus. And as they launched these platforms and started to launch content based on their own catalogs and also new exclusive content, they thought they were going to reap in huge profits from a whole millions of subscribers. Unfortunately, what has happened over the past 3 years as the pandemic has ended and the captive audience has left is that many of these studios are taking huge losses as related to the streaming services, as people go out and cancel their subscriptions to these streaming services. And as they have canceled their subscriptions to these streaming services, many of these studios have been taking huge losses on much of the new content they've produced, and they've also been taking a lot of losses at the box office as people have started to anticipate much of this content coming to the streaming services and hoping to save some money. Many people all across the globe would rather just go out and spend $2.99 if you can get that deal, or $9.99 at one time, to pay for a subscription to the HBO Max streaming service and then watch that movie with their families at home for $10 instead of going out here and spending over $200 to $300 at the theater. And as a result of audiences looking to wait for films to come to streaming, Hollywood has been taking huge losses as related to much of the new films they have been releasing. And these losses as related to their films is possibly one of the reasons why we have Warner Brothers Discovery looking to go out and sell licenses to feature their films and TV shows on the Tubi streaming service, which has been growing exponentially. And one of the reasons why the Tubi streaming service has been growing is because the Tubi streaming service is free. Now, because the Tubi streaming service is free, a lot of people have incentive to go over to the Tubi streaming service and watch all the films they want. Now, Tubi is free and they do have ads, but the ads really aren't that annoying because you get to see an entire film for free, and Fox continues to make money on the ad revenue. So the business model for Tubi is a lot more profitable for Tubi because they can go out here and present TV shows and movies on their streaming service, and they have the largest audience so far. And Warner Brothers Discovery at this point, because they're desperate as related to them being over $44 billion in debt, they need revenue coming in. And because they need revenue coming in to be able to offset many of the box office flops they've had over the last year, such as The Flash, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and Blue Beetle, not to mention other movies, they really need a profitable revenue stream. So now they're licensing their content over to Tubi for them to go out and make money on this content. And what's happening here is we're seeing a major shift as related to many of these big six media platforms like Sony, Paramount Global, Comcast, Warner Brothers Discovery, Disney, and News Corp. What they're doing is starting to shift away from the streaming platforms because the streaming platforms are not viable for them because it's encroaching on their business as related to their box office. Hollywood's primary revenue stream is its box office, and they hoped that streaming would be a platform they could make some money off of as related to being a fourth model. Unfortunately, what happened was the streaming platforms have basically encroached on the box office, and people are not going to the movie theaters. And because people aren't going to the movie theaters, what's happening is that much of the money that the studios used to make on its projects, they're not making, so they have to find a new way to make money. And the way they're trying to make money now is they're trying to license their material to streaming services once more, instead of trying to make it exclusive to their own paid platforms. And those paid platforms really aren't pulling in the money. So what they're doing, as I see it, is slowly trying to move the content back to a platform where the content providers are paying them so that they can have a revenue stream where they can make money on their content. So what's happening with Tubi is exactly what happened in the 2010s with Netflix. Netflix was basically paying Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, and Comcast for their content. And as they were paying them for their content, Netflix would go out here and sell the content to subscribers, and that's how they would make money. But with Tubi, what they're doing is they are licensing the content and putting it on their platforms and letting the advertisers shoulder the cost. So this way they are making revenue because they have a larger content catalog. And it looks like to me, in the big picture, many of the big six media platforms are looking like they're getting ready to get out of the streaming business, because the streaming business is a loser for them in the long term. And it's a big loser for them in the long term because with the whole streaming business model, they are basically losing money on both ends. And they're losing money on both ends because, one, they have to produce the content, and two, they have to sell the content to subscribers. And with subscribers basically subscribing long enough to watch the content and then canceling immediately. What's happening is that they are not making money on the content, and they need to find a way to offset the cost, and they have to offset the cost by going out and selling content to Tubi. And I believe what they're basically going to do is start selling all of the content to Tubi and let Tubi go out here and stream a lot of the older content, because the older content is basically depreciating in value as related to their catalog. And as that content depreciates in value, it doesn't make any money on the streaming service when you have to pay for it. However, that content can make money through ad dollars if you put that content on a streaming service like Tubi and people click on that content. At least it can make revenue long term, and that revenue, it can be made and measured and basically go out here and fulfill a term of the recent WGA and SAG-AFTRA strike as related to streaming revenue. So this whole decision to start streaming all of the DC Universe movies and other classic movies and other movies on the Tubi platform is basically many of these Hollywood executives throwing in the towel on streaming, because with streaming they're basically losing their shirt, because they cannot make the money at the box office because people will wait for stuff on streaming. So this is a way for them to generate revenue for their products and generate revenue by getting people to watch stuff on Tubi for free while they watch ads. Now, I watch a lot of films on Tubi. I try to catch a lot of 80s movies and 90s movies that I haven't seen in a long time, and Tubi is a great platform to catch many of those old movies, and this is a good deal for Warner Brothers Discovery as related to its content, because Tubi is reminding me a lot of syndication in that you have a platform where you can watch all of this content for free. And yes, there are retailers and businesses that will put ads up there, but you'll be able to watch many of your favorite old shows in addition to catching episodes that you missed. Because I remember one time they had MasterChef on there, and I missed an episode, and I was able to catch it again. And still, while it had ads, I could still catch the episode I missed and not miss a beat. So this business model is a lot more profitable for all of the big six that remain, because the streaming model was killing them as related to their box office and killing them as related to subs, because people would sub to content for a minute and then they would cancel their subs and as the content ended. And this model is a lot better for Warner Brothers Discovery, because Tubi is shouldering the cost the same way Netflix shouldered the cost as related to content. And instead of them looking for people to pay for the content, the company like Netflix is paying for the content. And I believe that's the way it should be as overall, because when you have companies like Amazon, Netflix, and Tubi paying for content, the studios have a revenue stream, whereas when they had their own streaming services, they had to pay out of both sides for the productions of new content and also had to go out and pay for promotion, and this encroached on their box office for their films. So they're going back to an old business model, which they should have never left, because Netflix was again paying for content. But this just shows me how Warner Brothers Discovery, I believe, is basically going to try to get out of the streaming business, because Max at this point is redundant. Because if I can watch a lot of Warner Brothers content on Tubi for free, then I have no incentive to pay for a lot of the HBO Max or Max subscriptions. I mean, I have no incentive to pay for a Max subscription at this point if the content is coming to Tubi for free, and I have no incentive to pay for that content if I'm going to be able to get to see it for free. I mean, this is what I saw as related to many movies that I would have paid for a subscription to watch, but if I can see it for free, I'll go watch it on Tubi legit. And this is where I see David Zaslav trying to get out of the streaming business, and I believe Bob Iger may follow soon, along with other CEOs of these platforms, and they'll leave streaming to Netflix and focus on selling the content to these platforms so that they can get paid for the content rather than taking huge losses on bad shows like And Just Like That, or as related to Disney Plus, shows like She-Hulk Attorney at Law. They won't have to take the cost on those shows. No, what they'll do is go out here and, I believe, take things to another level by going out here and producing exclusive content for Tubi. And as they create content for Tubi and other platforms, they will go out here and make money on those shows. That's where I believe streaming is gonna go. Many of the studios are gonna get out of the streaming business because the streaming business is hurting their bottom line. And this decision to take DC content off of the Max platform and put it on Tubi, it's just showing me that the streaming business was a bad one for Hollywood overall. Now, if you want to see me make more videos about the entertainment industry, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of the fiction on the SJS Direct imprint and the SJS Direct universe, you can find the books of the ISIS series, the Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, along with my vampire novel, Eternal Night, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find it at other online booksellers like Smashworth, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Godbreaker. The man who rules the world takes on the Asgardian god of thunder in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes, Godbreaker in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available for free on Google Play and Smashwords. The Retreat by Lawrence Cherry. If you want to advance in your faith in God, sometimes you have to retreat. Get The Retreat for free on Smashwords and Google Play today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.